It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the four films of July 22nd, 2005. Four really good movies. Some were not big hits at the box office, but movies that I think definitely deserve a second look overall. We've got a Michael Bay film starring Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson, a remake of one of the greatest sports comedies of all time, Rob Zombie's latest movie, The Devil's Rejects, and Hustle and Flow, an Academy Award-winning film. But not for the reasons you might think. But we'll get to that in just a little bit. But let's talk about the biggest new release of the weekend. Sort of. I mean, this movie was not a big hit, but I'd honestly say it's one of Michael Bay's best movies overall. This is Ewan McGregor and Scarlett Johansson in The Island. So as you can see, The Island is essentially classic escape from dystopia type movies, Fahrenheit 451, THX 1138, Logan's Run, those type of movies. It's literally described as a passe of all of those movies, but it's a really good movie. This is a movie about Ewan McGregor, who is Lincoln's sixth echo, who struggles to fit into the highly structured world in which he lives in, isolated in a compound, and the series of events that unfolds when he questions how truthful the world is. After Lincoln learns the compound inhabitants are clones used for August harvesting, as well as surrogates for wealthy people in the outside world, he attempts to escape with Jordan 2 Delta, played by Scarlett Johansson, and exposes the illegal cloning movement. By the way, this takes place in the dystopian future of 2019. I mean, don't you remember that when that happened? I mean, you know, that was such a big moment in the history of the world in general. And I mean, I can't imagine why nobody will remember something like this. Just like all those other movies that tried to predict the future, and yeah, not so much in general. But despite all that, I stick by what I say, that this is probably one of Michael Bay's best overall movies. I mean, this is a really good movie. A good, fun action movie with some great action sequences that play to Bay's advantages. A good script by Alex Kurtzman and Roberto Orci. And an original concept that does take a lot from those escape from dystopian futures, but future movies, and gives it its own unique edge to it. And it just helps when you have a strong cast that includes McGregor and Johansson, along with Jaimin Hansu, Sean Bean, Michael Clark Duncan, Steve Buscemi in the cast. It's a really good, underrated movie. I was really glad I got to see it in theaters when it came out. And, you know, it's a movie that definitely does not get the proper respect it deserves. It's a really good film overall. A little bit formulaic, but it's still a really good movie. And for Michael Bay, it definitely is very different compared to his other movies. It has a lot of his stuff inside of it, but there is more to it than just the action sequences that makes Michael Bay who he is. It helps that you have a really good script written by two very good writers who would later go on to work with people like J.J. Abrams and on stuff like Lost and Star Trek, and then do stuff later on with other things associated with J.J. Abrams. But just an overall really, really good movie, and one I do recommend checking out. It's a film that definitely deserves a lot more attention. Definitely seek it out. If you want to see Michael Bay do something that's actually very underrated of his, The Island is definitely one of those films I would highly recommend checking out. So definitely check that one out. And speaking of movies you should definitely check out, the same can be said for our next movie, and that is Richard Linklater's remake of The Bad News Bears. So, of course, this is a remake of the 1976 classic with Walter Matthau in it. And kind of like with The Longest Yard, a remake that I don't think gets the proper respect it deserves, because it actually is pretty good. In this movie, to scrape up some extra cash, the semi-inebriated, cigar-smoking, former minor league pitcher and now professional exterminator Morris Buttermaker, here played by Billy Bob Thornton, agrees to coach the inept Little League baseball team of the young misfits known as the Bears. Against the backdrop of a tough championship and an intense rivalry with the impeccable Yankees, Coach Buttermaker goes out as far as to recruit Amanda Wurlitzer, a 12-year-old daughter of one of his ex-girlfriends and star pitcher, and the troubled bike-riding baseball hitter Kelly Leak. Under the circumstances, do Morris's uncoordinated boys have what it takes to start winning? Did the maladroit Bears bite off more than they could chew? Well, if you've seen the original Bad News Bears and you see the remake, I think you can pretty much know what the answer is going to be. In fact, that's one of the things that actually makes the original Bad News Bears such a game changer, because it doesn't have the typical underdog sports movie ending where, you know, the team wins the championship at the end. No, they lose in both the original and the remake. And even then they're happy about it. Like Buttermaker's just like, we're celebrating. Why are we celebrating? Because you actually played as a team and you actually gave it your all. And you know, it's a really good, hard lesson about life. Like, sometimes you don't win the big championships, but you know what? You came together as a team in the end. You did the best you could, and that's all you really need. And I like that. I like that the original and the remake do that. And I think that's something that's very, very good about both movies. I do really like this one a lot. Kind of like with The Longest Yard, though, it's really hard to top the original film, and I think they do a pretty good job with the remake. It's definitely strengthened on the performance of Billy Bob Thornton as Buttermaker, where you look at the trailers and you think it's just going to be Bad Santa meets Bad News Bears, which technically it's kind of true, but Billy Bob Thornton just made that character work so well in Bad Santa, and bringing it into this movie, not quite as raunchy as it is in here, but it is definitely a raunchier movie than the first film. I mean, you know, the person who convinces Buttermaker to coach the team was played by a guy in the original, and now it's a woman played by Marcia Gay Harden. And I got the feeling that they did that so they could have a scene where, you know, Buttermaker and Marcia Gay Harden have a scene where they end up spending the night together, doing making whoopee, if you will, for the kids out there. And yeah, that would be very, very weird if they did that in the '76 version, but Billy Bob Thornton is really good, and it is kind of an interesting approach for Richard Linklater to take this direction, seeing him do a mainstream remake like this, even though he had success 2 years prior with his first mainstream movie, School of Rock. And it kind of makes you wonder what his Incredible Mr. Lincoln remake would have looked like, because he was attached to do that at one point. But then again, when you have bad CG, trying to make the actor the big star of your movie in CG with a fish face, it's not going to look good. Look up the Jim Carrey test footage, and you'll see exactly what the hell I'm talking about. But as far as the rest of the film goes, it's pretty much a by-the-notes remake of the original film, with a few modern exceptions and a few more raunchier scenes to get to the PG-13 rating. But other than that, it's just the original Bad News Bears all over again, which I'm glad with that. I like what they did with it. And when it comes to the Bad News Bears, like I said, nothing tops the original film. Believe it or not, I've never seen the 2 sequels or the TV series that came after the first movie. I've only seen the original Bad News Bears and the remake. I've never seen the sequels. I've never seen the TV series. I probably should get around to at least seeing the sequels at least, because honestly, I've never had a real reason to go check out the sequels in general. Nobody's ever said, excuse me, had a burp there. But nobody's ever said you need to see the sequels to this. I think the sequels are largely forgettable, are seen as largely forgettable, so that's why I haven't really taken the time to go check those ones out. But I have seen the original. I like the original a lot. I like the remake a lot too. And you know, it was a pretty good year for Paramount overall, especially in a good year for sports movies. We've talked about several of them already. Fever Pitch was a great one. Kicking and Screaming was good. Longest Yard was pretty good. And here's another great one right here. I really like this one a lot. Definitely check it out. And so with that said, let's go ahead and move on to the next movie here. The only one of the 4 movies to win an Academy Award, and that is Hustle and Flow. So yeah, this is a movie that has a little bit of notable history at the Oscars, but before we get to that, you have Terrence Howard as aspiring MC DJ who works the angles to get his first record made with the help from assorted people in his Memphis hood. When he hears the hip-hop superstar Skinny Black is heading into his area, he throws together a supreme hustle to grab Skinny's attention. This is the feature film directed by Craig Brewer, his second film after The Poor and Hungry, but this was the film that was highly praised by critics, features a strong cast that includes the aforementioned Terrence Howard, Anthony Anderson, Taryn Manning, Taraji P. Henson, Paula Jai Parker, Elise Neal, DJ Qualls, Ludacris, produced by John Singleton. A lot of talent all throughout the movie. And it's a really good movie, too, that shows what Craig Brewer as a director can really do. And it's a really good film. It's a really entertaining film. The acting is great. Terrence Howard actually got nominated for an Oscar for this, for Best Actor. And you can see why. He is really good in the film. But the film actually did win the Oscar for Best Original Song for 3 6 Mafia's It's Hard Out Here for a Pimp, making it only the second hip-hop song ever to win an Academy Award following Lose Yourself. And if you thought Eminem getting an Oscar is weird enough, look up the clip of 3 6 Mafia literally accepting their Oscar. I can't show it here because the last time I showed a clip from the Oscars, the video got blocked and I had to cut that out. But go ahead and look. You should be able to find that clip online. It's pretty hilarious when you think about it. And you know what? It's actually a pretty good song, too, and just so against what the Oscars usually give an Oscar to. It just feels like something that takes you back to when Shaq won the Oscar for Best Original Song. It's a good song, too, and it definitely deserved to win that year. But overall, really good film. Really, really good film. Definitely one of the highlights of the year. Featuring a very good cast, a very good story. What more can I say, man? Hustle and Flow. So with that said, let us move on to the last film we have here, and that's Rob Zombie's The Devil's Rejects. This is, of course, the sequel to Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses, and actually it's the second film of the Firefly film series that also ends with Three from Hell, which won't come out for another 14 years. But in this one, you have three on-the-run members of the psychopathic antagonist family from the previous film, now seen as the villains, with Sid Haig, Bill Moseley, and Sherry Moon Zombie reprising their roles, while Leslie Esterbrook replaces Karen Black as the matriarch. It's generally a much better movie than House of a Thousand Corpses. House of a Thousand Corpses is a good film, but this is a movie that takes it to another level where it just really becomes something unique and just engaging to watch, and shows Rob Zombie's true strengths as a filmmaker that would kind of sadly go away with the next two movies he would make, the Halloween remakes, which were ambitious, but just really all over the place. But then again, the David Gordon Green Halloween trilogy didn't do it any favors. It didn't do that series any favors. It actually makes the Rob Zombie movies more interesting and more enjoyable, and that when you really look at all three of those movies that we got later on down the road. But as far as this movie is concerned, it's a really good film. It's a really engaging black comedy horror film that definitely plays up to Rob Zombie's strengths as a filmmaker. And yeah, and it's a vast improvement over House of a Thousand Corpses. It's easily the best of the Firefly trilogy. Overall, a really, really good film. I really liked it a lot, even for somebody like me who doesn't usually go for movies like this. I'm not really much of a horror person in general, but I could see what Rob Zombie's bringing to the table with this, and I think it's a very good film. What more can I say, man? The Devil's Rejects. And so with that said, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. And the next time we meet, we'll wrap July up with 4 more movies, including Kurt Russell and Kelly Preston in Disney's superhero comedy Sky High. We also have Jessica Alba, Jamie Foxx, and Josh Lucas in Stealth. Diane Lane, that'd be much different with Diane Keaton and John Cusack as the couple. Now, Diane Lane and John Cusack in the romantic comedy Must Love Dogs, and the documentary The Aristocrats. So we'll take a look at those 4 movies all on the next episode. But until then, thank you so much for watching, and if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode. Also, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe button, and our notification button. We're closing in on 4,000 subscribers, as I said in the intro there, and as of right now, we're about close to about 15 people away from hitting that mark. So, if you can please subscribe to our channel, hit the notification button and the like button, it would help us a lot, and I can get that opening out of here, so I won't have to bother you again until we have to get to 5,000 subscribers. So yeah, if you like these videos, like I said, like, subscribe, notification button. So with that said, I am off. I will see you guys next time, and until then, as always, screwed up my ending here. With all that said, I'll see you guys next time. Until then, take care.